Your phone may be destroying your neck. Neck pain, headaches, shoulder tightness, numbness, tingling, and upper back pain are all signs of tech neck, caused by hours spent looking down at phones, laptops, and screens every day. If ignored, the damage can become permanent. Join Dr. Tom Roselle for a powerful free health class and learn natural solutions to relieve pain, improve posture, and protect your spine. Wednesday, June 17th at 6 p.m. at the Roselle Center for Healing. Seats are limited. Call 703-698-7117 or register now at rosellecare.com. The information provided on Dr. Tom Roselle Live by Dr. Tom Roselle, D.C., interview guests, show co-hosts, or substitute hosts is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. It is for general information purposes only. Information from this broadcast should not replace the appropriate consultation and examination process by a licensed physician. Always consult your own physician prior to changing any current medical directive or prescription.
This is Dr. Tom Roselle Live on 105.9 FM WMAL.
Hey everybody, welcome to Ageless Health with yours truly, Dr. Tom, right here on WMAL 105.9 in the good old United States, Washington, D.C., nation capital. We're having a good week, as they say. Got rid of the rain about a week ago, but now we're back to where it should be. It is, after all, it is the end of May. But we're going to talk about some things that you didn't know a whole lot about, or you were ignoring. Maybe you knew, but you didn't want to face up to it. What are we talking about? We're talking about the impact of your screens, your cell phones, your laptops, all those things on your health neurologically. Coming up on the 17th of June, very shortly, we're going to be doing an in-house program on, it's going to be called Tech Neck, or Technology Neck, pain and discomfort and so forth. And this is a time where you really need to find out what you can do, because so many of you are absolutely 100% addicted to your phones and your computers and where you place them and how you place them, and it's destroying your body. Did you know that if you have your head forward about 45 degrees, so just bend your head down, and so like you're looking at your laptop, right? At that 45 degrees, you have 50 pounds of weight, 50 pounds of weight on your neck and shoulders. That's huge. And you keep that up for a long period of time, guess what happens? You get degeneration in your disc spaces of the bones of your neck. You end up with pain and discomfort in your hands and your arms. You have tension headaches in the front of your head and the back of your head. And you know what else? Because the nerves that come from your brain go through the back portion of your neck and into your throat, you end up with things like AFib because of your technology, because you're irritating the nerve. It's misfiring. Did you know that it would also cause problems with swallowing, and it can cause sleep apnea if your head's in a bent over position ongoing, because you have two other nerves. They're called the hypoglossus and glossopharyngeal nerve that controls your throat muscles. And if your head's bent forward all the time, you're going to irritate them like crazy. It's not okay. But the inflammation, the inflammatory reaction, the garbage that it causes over a period of time is incredibly destructive to your body's physiological responses and capacity. So let's talk a little bit about technology and what it really means and how your body's adapting to it and so forth. So here's the deal, right? Now, if you have a tech neck, it's because you got problems with your head being bent forward on an ongoing basis. The modern musculoskeletal condition we call tech neck. Interesting, right? It's called tech neck. There's actually a diagnostic code that goes along with it. If you went into your computer and you said ICD-10 tech neck, it's going to come with a code. Your doctor can use it if you got a neck that's a problem because of that. Now, it's repetitive tilting forward, often at about 45 degrees, as we talked about, to look at your phones, your tablets, your computers, things of that nature. Postural strain, excessive, repetitive, ongoing postural strain to the neck and shoulders and upper back will alter your normal mechanics of your body. And it leads to all kinds of long-term physiological changes. So here's how it happens. And this is what I want you to know. I'm here to make sure that you take the opportunity to make some changes in your life and understand what's really going on. That's what we do here at the Roselle Center in Fairfax, Virginia. If you've been watching me on social media, we've coined a term. It's called the Roselle difference. And what the Roselle difference is giving you tools so you can help yourself. It's not just us doing stuff to you, it's you helping yourself by applying different processes ongoing. Look, why would you even begin to allow your system to collapse into something that becomes chronic, degenerative, and physiologically destructive if you could do something about it? I don't know about you, but I'm not into that mode. I want to make sure that I can change things. So here's what the deal is with your cell phones, your computers. It increases the load, the stress load on your neck, right? So your noggin, that head of yours, weighs somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 to 12 pounds. And when you tilt it forward just a little bit, 15 degrees, that's not a whole lot. It increases the effective load on your neck and shoulders to 27 pounds, not just 12 pounds. We've more than doubled it. And as I said, at 45 pounds, now you got 50 to 60 pounds. And by the way, this is coming out of data that's released by the Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic. So when that happens, you have huge amount of stress on the neck muscles, the front muscles, the back muscles, and they have to work harder to keep your head supported. And all you want to do now is kind of cascade it forward. It leads to muscular soreness and inability to turn your head, stiffness. There was an interesting article that came out of the Cleveland Clinic, of all places, and they said forward head posture, that means your head moving forward, causes your shoulders to round and your upper spine to lose its natural curve. It accentuates the curve in that upper back. It's called increased kyphosis. It increases pressure on your neck and pain and discomfort and frontal headaches and so forth. So you have this neck and shoulder pain, the soreness, you have reduced motion, mobility, you got these crazy headaches that just never go away. You have nerves now that are going to get compressed, they're going to get pressure upon them. And that's from the Mayo Clinic. Pinched nerves, compression on the nerves of your neck. And it causes tingling and numbness and weakness in your arms and your hands. Look, there's a couple of things you're going to have to do. One, if it's been there long enough, you better see somebody like me and get it squared away and find out what's really going on, because it's not going to go away on its own long term. In the short term, if you can catch yourself, it's time to change it. Your spinal discs, that constant aberration causes increase in disc degeneration and contributes to long-term spinal destruction. That's from the Cleveland Clinic, my friends. Now, reduce postural positioning and balance. So your overall postural mechanics changes and your gait changes. Your capacity to stay in a plumb position changes. So if we know that occurs, why don't we do something about it instead of get off these damn phones? How many of you can go outside and play and just do your thing and just put your phone aside and not look at it? I don't know about you, but there's a lot of people that I see on a day-to-day basis that they go into a psychotic breakdown, if you will, because they can't get their hands on their phones. Oh my God, they'll go out 3-4 miles from the house and suddenly remember, if they could get that far, that they don't have their phone with us. Guess what they do? And they're only about a mile from where they're going. They turn around, go back, get their phone before they go and complete the cycle. That's true statement, by the way. That's not something I'm making up. So we got to make sure that we understand that these cumulative impacts over time, hours of poor posture, have a tremendously compounded effect on the body mechanics. And the body tries to adapt to the load, but over time, these abnormal muscle imbalances, these joint space stresses, these nerves that are being pinched become permanent. And now you have to begin to really go under a lot of care and a lot of reconstructive patterns to get you back to where you should be normally. Chiropractic care will help. Chiropractic care is one of the most effective and most impactful, if you will, clinical tools to be able to resolve, restore, return normal structural balance. It's what I've been doing for over 4 decades. And I'm telling you, it can happen, but you've got to be willing to make some changes too. That means you got to get away from these phones. You know, the adjustments that you have to make, the little things that you could do to prevent all this stuff, change the positioning of your screens, be aware of your posture, keep your shoulders back, keep your ears aligned with your shoulders and your shoulders aligned with your hip bones. And if you're in that place, life as you know it gets a little bit better. You're not going to go down the tubes quite as fast. You got to take breaks. There's a 20-20-20 rule, right? So every 20 minutes that you're on one of your devices, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. Did you hear me? 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds, and you begin to balance things out a little easier. Strengthening and stretching. Exercise, things like rows. But when you do a row, when you pull a band towards you, make sure your chest is up and you squeeze your shoulders together. Don't just pull it back. And then how about things like yoga? How about things like Pilates? How about things like just getting into a stretching class? At the Roselle Center, we talk about health is in your hands, Ageless Health. And now we're talking about, the axiom, the Roselle difference. And what that means is that we're going to teach you how to prevent things. We're going to put you in a position of being aware of. We're going to tell you what contributes to the problem. And then we're going to empower you to make the changes. The 17th, coming up June, 6 p.m. at the Roselle Center in Fairfax. Join us. Join Dr. Scott Lamp. That he'll walk you through this. I'll be there. I'll show my head and say, hey, this is the things that we can do to help you. But look, at the end of the day, you have control over this. But if you ignore it, if you don't do what you should be doing, your body is going to continue to break down. So your biophysiology is affected by your computers. Your biophysiology is affected by your screen time. And if you don't realize that's the case, you're going to have problems that are ongoing. Young children, for example, spend somewhere around 3.5 hours a day on their screens. And when we get to the teen years, they have them in school. God bless the school systems that are taking phones away from kids while they're in the school in classes. It's not okay because they're on them all the time. They're not paying attention to what's being offered. Brain development, right? The first 5 years of life, 90% of brain development occurs. Passive screen viewing can reduce real-world interaction, delaying of language, overstimulation of the body's ability to see and differentiate, understimulating auditory connections within the system. The body is an ongoing adapting machine. The neurophysiology, that's your nerves, right, and how it expresses itself. You have this prolonged exposure to neuroinflammatory reactions, and you can see it. So one of the things that we do ongoing at the Roselle Center is that we use thermography centers of Fairfax and thermography centers of Virginia. And if we want to find out specifically if an area is hot with inflammation, you can do it with a thermographic imaging, which means that there's no radiation, there's no injury to the body. It takes a heat signaling picture. Dareth Painter, who is the principal of thermography centers, is really extraordinary. And she works with a group of about 15 doctors that read these things ongoing. And you can come in, don't even have to see one of our doctors. Give her a call. Go to thermographycenters.com and check it out and make an appointment with Dareth and have your neck and shoulders and upper spine imaged for neuroinflammatory reactions that are due to your crazy postural patterns. Look, adults that are working outside the house are on their phones over 2 hours a day, and they cause thinning of the barrier, if you will, of the brain. You've heard the blood-brain barrier is called the cerebral cortex area. It can reduce the intellectual patterns called gray matter, increase the risk of dementia, stroke, Parkinson's disease. Yep, all of those things. It can impair learning, it can impair memory, it can impair the ability of the frontal cortex to be able to make decisions. In today's world, you better be able to work quickly, particularly in the world of AI and robotics. You better be up on your game, my friends, because if you're not, the world that you're walking into is going to take away your capacity to be able to function at the levels that you want to function at. Eye and health, right? Your eye strain, your computer vision strain, if you will, your blurred vision, your irritation, they're all common, particularly in children and adolescents, because they're still developing. They don't have the protective mechanisms. Prolonged close-up focusing on the screens, they can contribute to something called myopia and visual fatigue. And, remember, we have to make sure that we know how to blunt it. Parents, if you have kids or grandkids at your house, take the phones away from them. Say, hey, you can only have this much time. And make sure it's in front of them and it's not where they're bending their heads low, because these poor kids who are developing, growing, adding to bone function and so forth, are going to degenerate. Did you know it can destroy your sleep rhythm? Blue light from screens, delays what's called melatonin release. That's your hormone from your pineal gland that controls all natural rhythms in your body, including sleep, but other things as well. It can also cause an impact on what? On hormonal regulation as well. So you can screw up your sleep, and that affects your restorative functions of your body. It affects your cognitive performance, and guess what? And your emotional regulation. We're seeing more and more people that are hair triggered, more and more people that react, more and more people that are out of control. They can't even think through a process. Where's that coming from? Everything I'm telling you right now is coming from places like Lifestyle Medicine, Stanford, the Stanford University, one of the best places in the world. So Lifestyle Medicine, StanfordEDU.com. Right? Check it out. You can go to another place. Is go PMC, PubMed, right? PMC.ncbi.nlm.nih.gov. And so this is not Tom Roselle giving you an opinion. This is factual data that if you're on your cell phones, you're going to suffer the slings and arrows of structural imbalance and disturbances, musculoskeletal pain, if you will. And it starts early on with your kids. You say, I'm hurting. Guess what? It's probably because they're on their damn phones all the time, right? And you're going to see them with social isolation. They don't know how to communicate with anybody. Reduced attention span. They're going to be like ADD all over the place. And all this is coming from Psychology Today. So when you know that's true, don't you want to do something about it and find out if you really have a problem with it? That's what you're going to do on the 17th. You're going to join Dr. Scott and I here at the Roselle Center at 6 p.m. It's a Wednesday night. Join us. Make sure you register. All you have to do is call the office at 703-698-7117 and say, hey, I want to come. Reserve your seat. And all we ask you for is what? We ask you for a cancellation if you know you can't make it. So we're going to have somebody else join us. Those of you who were here last time that we did our in-house program, that we had a full house. And we want to make sure that you're comfortable, that you have the opportunity to get the information, ask questions, and do what is necessary to change your life. Look, excessive screen time does a lot of things, not only to kids, but also the adult brain. It's almost like binge watching television, watching YouTube videos for hours, or scrolling on your phone in and out constantly. Too much screen time is extremely detrimental to your health, right? So we know children's brains are affected exponentially by spending too much time glued to their cell phones. It's straight up data. And if you're a good parent, they said, if you're a good parent, take the damn phone away from them or limit the amount of time that they spend on it, unless you're going to fry their brains. And they go into stinking thinking. They go into negative thought process. They don't know how to interact with people. They have no ability to go out and as they get older to engage and find a job. So the brain is very malleable, and it's found to do damage, harm to learning and memory and mental health. there was a huge study that studied adults from 18 to 25 with excessive screen time. And it found that there was thinning of the major portion of brain information and applications called the cerebral cortex. The brain's outermost layer is responsible, as I said, for major stuff. So if that's the case, and then it increases your risk of dementia, stroke, and Parkinson's disease, and also Alzheimer's, right? Guess what? I don't know about you, but I don't want to be an invalid and not be able to function. I want to know what I can do to make a difference in my health and my life. So join us on the 17th, and we'll go through the whole process with you. We'll go a little bit deeper, and next time we meet together. But we have to do things that sometimes are a little uncomfortable, and that's an addictive process. Do you know that people who put all the programs online, all the reels, all the solicitations, they know your addictive level. They get it. They understand it. They're using it. They're getting you sucked into, you can't do without whatever it is that you can't do without. And many of you are spending thousands of dollars by saying, well, it's I could be spending it. No, you need to be able to protect yourself on multiple levels. What do you want to do with your life moving forward? Do you want it controlled by somebody else, or do you want to control it yourself? So when you intentionally implement a routine in the day that gives you support into your lifestyle choices, instead of somebody controlling you and telling you what your lifestyle choices should be. I don't know about you, but, just call me strange. I like controlling my life. So when you talk about lifestyle shifts and changes, modify your cell phone time. Do the old-fashioned thing. Grab a piece of paper, a magazine. They still make them. You still can get them. Exercise every day. Do a little something. It doesn't have to be heroic. You can just go for a walk and stretch and breathe and so forth. Call a friend, but don't put the phone next to your head. Put it on speaker. And just have a lighthearted conversation while you're doing something. Eat the way you're supposed to eat. Eat healthfully. Meditate. Pray on a day-to-day basis. How about doing something I taught my kids early on? Create a gratitude list. Write down the things that you're happy for every day. The one person that really got it right was my daughter. She sits and she prays every day, and she writes a list of things that were, even minimally perfect in her life. And when you start looking for the things that are good, you start showing up with more of that. Spend time outside. The morning light is one of the most impactful lights of the day. Just go outside, go for a walk, smell the air before everybody gets to screw it up. Enjoy that moment of quiet. That's what really is. If you find your body, rebelling initially, it's because you're addicted. Leave the cell phone in. When you go outside, don't take your cell phone with you. Use an old-fashioned wind-up clock. Yeah, they still make them. You can find them. Get rid of all the electrical fields, all the energetics that are outside of you and not you, and begin to create a lifestyle that can help you repair, restore, fix. Look, we're coming up to the end of the program pretty shortly, and you can join me and continue the conversation on any of our social media sites. Go to drtomroselle.com. and click in. And, by the way, all the radio programs, all of our social media programs, they're all there. Just go to the top of the page in the toolbar, you'll find them. And listen, learn, send us your email. We'll send you things to study. We're not going to solicit you, but we're going to tell you things that are good for you. I'm here every Sunday for one reason only. I want you to have the data. That's the Roselle difference. That's what we do. And remember, more importantly, across the board, I love you all. Have a great day. See you next week. Bye.
Breast cancer is a major health risk to all women. It can silently grow uninterrupted for years. The Thermography Centers of Fairfax reminds all women to conduct monthly and annual breast exams. Consider a thermography scan from the Thermography Centers as an adjunct to your routine breast exams. Digital infrared thermal imaging is safe and non-invasive. For more information and to schedule an appointment, call 703-520-7591 or visit thermographycenters.com.
Neuromuscular dentistry is more than just teeth and gums. Temporomandibular joint disorder can be painful, and only a skilled neuromuscular dentist can diagnose and treat it. If you are in pain and suffering from TMD, call the neuromuscular dentistry experts at Soft Touch Dental Care. Learn more about TMD and how Dr. Michael Chung has successfully treated his patients. Call 703-319-6990 for a complimentary consultation or visit bestinsmile.com. That's 703-319-6990 or visit bestinsmile.com. Your phone may be destroying your neck. Neck pain, headaches, shoulder tightness, numbness, tingling, and upper back pain are all signs of tech neck, caused by hours spent looking down at phones, laptops, and screens every day. If ignored, the damage can become permanent. Join Dr. Tom Roselle for a powerful free health class and learn natural solutions to relieve pain, improve posture, and protect your spine. Wednesday, June 17th at 6 p.m. at the Roselle Center for Healing. Seats are limited. Call 703-698-7117 or register now at rosellecare.com.
This is Dr. Tom Roselle. After 43 years of practice and over 1 million patient visits, the Roselle Center for Healing knows what works and knows how you can take control of your health and wellness. My team of doctors practice 21st century integrative medicine. Whether you suffer from chronic pain and fatigue, allergies or headaches, we can help. Take charge of your health before it's too late. Make an appointment today. Call 703-698-7117 or visit online at rosellecare.com. That's rosellecare.com.